Greetings and welcome back. What I'm going to do today, I'm going to carry on my little goth girl painting and take it a little bit further. We're actually going to go into some of the painting tools today, showing how to configure brushes. May get into some custom brushes, may get into some fancy tips and tricks, but let's just see how it goes. So, yesterday I got to about this point. So just to recap, I've got my underpainting layer that I created, my lines over the top which are in multiply mode, very important, so I can keep seeing those lines no matter what happens, and way back here I've got some basic shading that I put on. Okay, so let's go. Okay, paintbrush. Now, a lot of artists have different ideas what to use for your main brush. To be honest, for the most part, I don't think it matters that much. I'm going to go in with a flat brush for now. I'm going to set that to a reasonable size, and I'm going to pick up a flesh tone. Now, normally, you know, you can create palettes of colours. I'm not going to bother with that today. Probably get into that another time on another video, but for now I just want to select a sort of a dark flesh tone, probably somewhere around there. See, there's your add to swatches if you want to create a swatch. That's okay, and let's just check out the size of that brush. It's probably a little big, so I'll make that a bit smaller and raise its opacity slightly. There we go. Now, what I was saying about the multiplier layer, you see what's happening here? As I paint, I'll lay that a bit thicker. As I paint, you can see all the shading, all the lines just coming through there. It doesn't look pretty at first. Don't worry, things will improve. Okay, so I'm going to go a bit bigger. I'm just going to blap in. I'm not over fond of that brush. I'm going to switch back to my round brush, maybe. May even just go airbrush. Yeah. Just for now, I'm just going to blap in some general swathes of colour. You don't have to be too neat. Sometimes it actually helps if you leak slightly off the edge of the picture, particularly if you want to go for a sort of an authentic sort of painterly feel. Having a little bit of leakage off the edge of the main picture doesn't hurt, because when we blend it all together later, some of those colours will end up leaking into the background, and you can use that when you sort of finish the whole thing off to sort of pick out little blobs of colour and just make that background a little bit more interesting. So I'll slap a load of this on here for now. The shading is more of a guide, just to indicate where you wanted your light and dark to be. There we go. So anywhere that's flesh, there's an ear up there somewhere, so we'll black those in. Okay, we've got all the flesh areas. Pretty much. I'm going to go under the hairline slightly, because when I paint the hair in, you may well want to see, you know, little bits of skin showing through the hairline. Okay, so there we go. So we want some pink up there, some flesh up there. You can see now that shading that I did before looks pretty rough, but it's okay. It's okay. Right, let's lighten that. Now I want to start to indicate areas where things can be a little lighter. So you want to think about where the light's going to hit. Remember, the light was coming in from this direction. Okay? So, light's coming down, it's going to hit there, it's going to hit there, it's going to hit that whole side of the face there. You're going to get a little bit zinging up here. You're going to get some on that collarbone and on that collarbone and on that side of the throat. And you'll pick up a little bit on that arm, and you may even get a little bit there. Okay, so this whole layer, I'm going to blur that using a Gaussian blur about that much for now. Okay, just smooth things out a little bit so you can see what's going on. Lighten up still further. Now we'll go in again. I'm going to reduce the opacity now. I want to build this up a little bit more subtly. I'm going to paint some more light areas. I'm not going quite as mad as I did the first time. Slightly less. Pick out those areas where the light's going to hit. Filter, blur, Gaussian blur. Okay, lighten up. Make the brush a little smaller. And now we're going to pick out some of the really fine detail. That side of the nose, that nostril. Just thinking about where the light is going to glance off. Okay, now rather than going with the full blur now, because that's going to be a bit extreme, I'm going to pick out this tool. We've got blur, we've got sharpen, we've got smudge. Blur does what it says on the tin. It's going to blur what's underneath the point of the pen. I tend to prefer smudge, especially when you've got it turned down quite low. And you'll see what happens. You can just a little bigger, a little stronger. You can just sort of blend that in a little bit, sort of push the paint around a wee bit. I'm not going for earth-shatteringly accurate painting at the moment. I'm just putting in areas of colour, little zones, so I can see what's going on. I need to make some decisions now, like what colour things are going to be. Now, on the original I did this sort of red. I'm probably going to stick with that. Hair is going to be mainly black with a hint of purple in it, maybe a hint of blue, and these broader light areas. This is going to be like like, you know, like opera gloves, but thin like stockings. So I'm actually thinking about it. I need to push in a flesh tone in there, but with a bit more grey in it. So I'll take that. Move on to paintbrush, and I'm going to paint in that colour there for this arm. Not worry about that line. That line's going to go eventually. So if we put in where that arm's going to be, and obviously a darker version for the top. It's going to go in there. Yeah, that's sort of what I'm after. This area, a nice deep red. So pick out something like that. Fairly big. Way too bright at the moment, but don't worry, we'll be bringing that down with some shading. Might paint in sort of lace and error. Don't you love undo? I was doing this with oil paints. I could not do that. Let's go darker, softer, and now we'll start to bring in some of this shading. Again, not going too mad. Thinking about where the shadows would naturally lie. something like that. Yeah, okay. Then we'll go for the hair. Nearly black. Very nearly black. A bit stronger. Slightly more careful around the ears because we have got to keep that flesh tone in there. Not worrying too much about being accurate on these wisps of hair yet. We're just getting in blabs of colour. Blab is a technical term, you know. And you'll sometimes find that, you know, if you make little noises while you're painting, boom boom ba boom boom boom. Do 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 do. Ba 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 ba. It can help. I don't know why. Or maybe it just makes me sound like a crazy person. I don't know. I don't know. Cool. You'll probably notice this very attractive headset that I'm wearing today. I actually managed to find one of our nice headsets with mics on, which I'm trying out today. We'll see how it goes. When I'm only going to know when I actually look at the video playback whether the microphone pickup is actually doing a good job. Hope it's okay. There we are. And then we want those highlights are going to be sort of that sort of idea, maybe. Could be a bit much that, and I was actually thinking maybe I should be going more purple, so I'll tell you what, let's go in comme ça and let us see how that does. It's only a rough idea at this point. We're just trying to get broad areas of colour. Eyes. What colour should her eyes be? Well, you'd think with dark hair they'd be brown. However, you know, I'm a big fan of green eyes. Green eyes cool. Plus, who's to say she doesn't die? Sorry, darling. She probably does dye her hair. No offence to anybody who've is a goth in real life. I'm not saying you dye your hair. Your hair could naturally be purple or blue or pink, you know. There we go. That's a bit very dark green. I just want to, I'm not painting the eyes at this point, but I just want a suggestion of where you kind of get a dark area around the outside of an eye, the iris. Quite often you get another one around the middle, and you'll get like a lighter band, sort of like that. And just to keep remembering that we're going to have those highlights, let's just drop those little highlights in, zoom out. Those eyes are looking freaky. They'll look better, don't worry. It's early days. Lipstick. Let's go. Dark red. It's almost black. Which probably would be okay too, but we'll see how it goes. For now, I'm thinking more something like this. A few little highlights there. to give an idea. There we go. Okay, so we've just got some basic colour on there. I'm not particularly happy with how this hair's gone, because I've been faffing about with it something rotten. Let's just start here. I'm just using the smudge tool, just pushing that all together. Oh, lag! Lag, how thou dost vex me. Just try and tidy up a little bit. It's lagging like hell because I'm recording. Normally speaking, it's not too bad. That'll do for now. What I might do is I might just partition off those areas. So I'm just using the cutout, the lasso tool, I forgot what it was called, duh. And just in that area I'm going to do my old Gaussian blur, just to sort of push that. See there, that works much better now. Okay, how are we doing TikTok wise? Not too bad. Right, so we've now got the underpainting layer done. That's just reminding about the light, because see that's working pretty well. Right, new layer. Painting. This is where the hard work starts. What do you say? Now is the hard work? Yep. That's probably the quickest part of the painting done. Everything else from this point on we're going in much more fine, much more meticulous. The lines are going to take much less importance now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push the opacity of the line layer down. I still want to see them. See something like that, so I can still see the lines, but now they're much fainter. Maybe even a little bit more. There. Jolly good. Fantastic. And now I'm actually going to start to do some painting. I know this looks horrible up here, this is looking horrible, but don't worry, it'll all come fine. So now we can use the eyedropper. We've got a lot of the colours that we want in there, so I'm going to pick up that colour. I'm just going to take that down a fair amount. I might start to play with some brushes, so let's have a look. Right, this is, I've not shown you this before, this is the brush palette. Okay, this is just like this, but you've got a lot more control over it in here. I'm going to start to have a look and see what brushes I've actually got in here. Got all kinds of funky stuff. I think it was that one. I liked. It's got a little bit of texture to it. Let me just do a sample stroke. Yeah, okay. I'm just playing with the settings here, and as you can see, as I mess about with those settings, you can see the effect on the brush down below. That should do. Texture on. Yeah, maybe. I'm just really fiddling around with it until I get it how I want it. I think I can live with that. There we go. So, and I want to start to actually paint. So this is over everything that I've done up to this point. Happy with that. That's better. Right, yeah. So after all that fiddling, I've now gone for a completely different brush. Window brush. Just dock that back over there. Moved it. Right, so shape, smoothing, bit of texture. Yeah. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this brush to start to actually paint in areas. I'm now looking to go into a lot more detail. Now this is going to take some time, so what I might do is I might stop chunnering on with myself, and I may put you in fast forward mode while I work on this. So I may come back in a little while. Okay. Okay, I'm back. So, just blasted in a bit of speed painting there. Main thing I've got to do now is I really need to get these eyes the right shape because they are bugging the hell out of me. So what I'm going to do is a little trick. Get that placed right. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to select and I'm going to inverse select, and I am going to now just take the eraser and delete what I've painted around this edge, and then I'm going to get the smudger and I'm going to come back in and I'm going to smudge in all this stuff going on around here. Tidy it up. Now that's going to give me too sharp an edge, but don't worry about that because I'll be back in a minute. I also need to make sure that this outer shape is matching kind of that circular shape more or less. That's better. Just clear that. Right. You see what I mean? It's sort of got kind of too sharp an edge now. So I'll just go in there and I'll just blend that in a little bit. It's still not perfect, but it's better. Problem is some of the underpainting showing through now. But I can fix that in a little while. I'll do the same over here, so I want the same sized circle. Move it over here. Then maybe what I should do is rather than sort of select, inverse, maybe I don't delete. That's probably what I shouldn't have done, as I can just blend now with the painting that I've already done. Just bring that in. Push all that paint, using the smudge tool, push all that paint up there. So I'm moving the green out of the way, bringing in the surrounding colours. That's better. And then again, I want to tighten up this circle and make that follow the eye a little bit more naturally. Rounding that in. Okay, and then I can clear that selection. And I'll just need to go back and just fuzz up the edges and blend that in a little bit. Let's go. That's better. That's better. Still nowhere near finished. Nowhere near finished. But we're getting somewhere. So, I now want a dark grey, almost black. I'm going to take my opacity right down. The size pretty big. I'm just going to lay in some shadow over the top of the eyes. with your eyebrows, you're actually, and your eyelashes, which I haven't painted in yet. Gotta be careful which way you blend. There we go. So that just makes those look a little bit more natural. And let's zing in our little highlights again. Which you can do a lot more softly now. I actually might put one. I'm thinking even over the black. So these are just little reflections that the eyes pick up from whatever is around. And I'm going to tidy up this black a little bit in here. Strengthen the outer edge, strengthen the inner. Hopefully that's starting to look a lot more like something. Yay! I think you'll agree that looks a lot better. So, let's pull it back. With the exception of the opacity, that's where we were when we started. That's where we are now. Still got a long way to go, but we're getting there. Okay, so I'm going to sign off now. Let's just see how that plays out on video with the new mic and headset, etc. You'll also notice from the video further, the little webcam window I've moved. That window behind me was bugging me, and I think it was probably bugging you guys. So let's leave it there, and we shall adios.